No one was surprised when the old man finally died. He lived more than 100 years, not because he was strong, but because he refused to leave. Doctors said his body should have failed decades earlier. Organs weakened, blood thin, heart irregular, but something kept him anchored, as if death itself was waiting for permission. Permission that never came, until it did. What shocked the family was not his death. It was the letter. It was written only hours before the end. The handwriting was uneven, violent in places, pressed so hard into the paper that the ink tore through. One of his daughters found it while sorting his belongings. She read only the first line. Then her hands began to shake. She folded the letter, put it back, and told no one. No one ever learned what it said, because the letter was buried with him. The old man had 5 daughters, 4 living, 1 already dead. All of them were raised in the countryside, far from cities, far from light, far from answers. Their childhood was shaped by animal sounds at night, fires burning low, and stories whispered carefully, as if the land itself was listening. Stories of men who walked wrong, of hunger that wore human skin, lobosomum, skinwalkers, men who fed when the moon allowed it. Stories you pretend are just stories, until they aren't. When he was young, the old man worked as a tropero. He transported animals across long distances, cattle, horses, mules, and when necessary, he slaughtered them. He knew how to kill cleanly, how to drain blood without waste, how to open a body and remove what mattered. But something was always wrong. When animals were found at dawn, their organs were missing, not stolen, not scattered, removed, as if someone had taken only what fed something deeper. The old man said nothing. He never did. As a father, he was distant, not violent, not loving, present in body, absent in soul. The daughters remember his eyes following them, lingering, calculating, especially at night, especially during full moons. The first daughter to die was the youngest. She disappeared at 17. No blood, no scream, no struggle, just footprints leading into the forest and stopping. The family said it was an accident. The village whispered something else. That night, the father buried tools, burned clothes, scrubbed his hands until the skin split, and never spoke of her again. Years passed. The daughters aged, the father did not. He outlived neighbors, friends, doctors. People began to say he was waiting, that something unfinished was holding him here. He admitted it once. He said he could not disconnect from life, as if something still needed him breathing, as if he was waiting for permission from the dead, from the daughter who never came home. Hours before his death, he asked for paper. He wrote slowly, painfully. When one daughter opened a letter later, the first line read, "I was not born with a hunger." She felt sick. She stopped reading. She knew instinctively that finishing it would change something. At the funeral, as the coffin was lowered, one daughter heard scratching. From inside, another smelled iron, fresh, wet, blood. They blamed grief. They always do. The letter was placed against his chest, sealed inside the coffin, buried, but secrets rot underground. Weeks later, the dreams began. All of them dreamed the same dream. Their father, younger, standing in the forest, his hands red, his mouth wet. Around him, bodies hanging from hooks. Animals, but shaped wrong, too long, too narrow, too human. One daughter woke up with bite marks on her arm. Another found muddy footprints inside her locked home. Another heard breathing behind her at night. Slow, measured, the breathing of something that knows how long a body can last. They returned to the grave. The soil was disturbed, the coffin empty, except for the letter, placed neatly on top of the dirt. Opened. The final lines read, "I fed it so my daughters would never starve. I carried the hunger so they wouldn't have to. But hunger does not die. It only moves." They never spoke of it again. But in the countryside, when animals are found perfectly drained, when organs vanish without trace, when footprints stop in the middle of the road, people remember the old stories, and they whisper. Some letters are buried for a reason. Some inheritances are not written in ink. And some families do not pass down land. They pass down the hunger